I'm here with Dr. Pam Ross. Pam is an inspirer with powerful ability to identify and activate the genius in others. She's a multiplier who has led hundreds of teams and thousands of individuals to dramatically increase their personal leadership and team building ability. Pam uses various forms of media to reach a global audience with her dynamic message of serving, leading, and loving. She's the author of Serving, Leading, and Loving, a survival guide for kingdom leaders, the Serving, Leading, and Loving Personal Development Guide, The Force of Joy, Building an Unstoppable You, and 30 Days of Joyful Meditation. She's also the host of the Culturalist Conversations with Pam Ross, a podcast, and she's the president and lead trainer of Kingdom Leadership Development, a nonprofit training and consulting organization, and she's executive director of culture and engagement for the All Nations Collective, a network of over 50 progressive churches. So Pam, it's so wonderful to be able to have you with us here today.
Thank you so much. It's my honor to be here. I'm excited to talk to you today.
Well, Pam is a recent attendee of one of our Publishing in Color conferences, and she has a new book coming out called Get Ready to Fly. So we want to talk with her about the book, about her Publishing in Color experience, and, just let all of you get to know her better. So first, maybe before we get to all of that, could you just tell us a little bit more about your background and how you got to where we are today?
Sure. Well, you know what? It's interestingly enough, I have served in ministry and worked at churches for, is it almost 20 years now? And it was never my intention. In fact, I have a technical background, and just by the hand of the Lord, I found myself working at a church that I was a member. And I thought that the Lord was making my life a little bit smaller because my children were small and I was coming out of kind of working in other fields. And so I thought, maybe I'm just going to work at my church and I'll have some time. But little did I know I was going to have a heart for leadership, for ministry. And even though I do, training and consulting in the secular arena, what I do is not secular. So the Lord is always in it. Anytime you're talking about leading people well, that's not a secular thing. That's not at all. So my background is mainly leadership, training, team building, in nonprofits and for some for-profits as well. And I started writing. I wrote Serving, Leading, and Loving really from the pages of a journal. And my youngest daughter said to me, "Mom, I think you're writing a book." So it's fun to be writing a book, tell all your friends I'm writing a book. But then when I actually had to just knuckle down and get the thing done, it was a labor, but it was a labor of love. And I was bitten by the bug. And so then next came The Force of Joy. I felt like it was a message that the world needed. And as I was writing The Force of Joy, I was, of course, reading scriptures on joy every day because I wanted to bring it to the front of my executive brain. And I wanted to see joy everywhere so that the pages of the book would be rich. And as I'm meditating, writing a scripture about joy every day, out comes 30 Days of Joyful Meditation. And so here I am with Get Ready to Fly, the third set of books, and couldn't be more excited to talk to you about it.
That's very cool. That's very cool how your, sequence of books came about there.
Yeah.
So have you self-published or traditional published?
I self-published. I did not have a literary agent. And I did not expect to have the audience that I have now. And so you got to imagine mom of 3 young kids. I was married, was working full time. And so when I began to travel and teach and train, I wanted to have a resource that I could leave with my audiences wherever I went. So I never really expected for people that don't know Pam to buy Pam's book. Why would they, right? So that was my vision just was not big enough. So I thought, I think I just need to get the book out. So I sent the book along with several videos about the book to a publishing house. I sent a I sent a book proposal with some videos about the book to a publishing house. And it was the nicest denial I've ever I've ever heard of. Basically, it was, this looks like great material. I think it's needed, but we don't have the system to fully support what you're trying to do here. So I didn't really know how to take that. And I just said, I think I'm just gonna publish it. So I got a team together and we worked real hard. I designed a cover on a McDonald's napkin, literally.
So which self-publishing platform have you used?
Well, at first I used Zulon Press, and then I went to CreateSpace, and then now CreateSpace is now Kindle Direct Publishing. So I've been with Kindle Direct since then, and all my work is available on Amazon. And I like it. It's simple, but I'm very, very open, particularly after attending your conference, which was amazing. It was my rookie adventure. I was a freshman at your conference. And I loved it. And so I'm giving strong consideration to looking at a literary agent. I've had a couple of friends tell me that they think that's the next step for me. Particularly if I'm going to continue writing, and I'm going to continue writing.
Well, there's certainly been a number of folks that have made a similar kind of progression. They've done really well with their own self-published work. They've built an audience, built a platform. And, those are all things that traditional publishing houses and agents are looking for. So, you've done the spade work over several years, right? Now, bring the garden to fruition, so to speak.
Yes.
So what's the story behind the latest book? How did that come about?
Well, this latest book, Get Ready to Fly, it's a testimony. The origin story I call it an origin story because I think I'm a real superhero. So that's that's another conversation. But I had quit ministry. I was done. I was in a kind of a low place, relationally, spiritually, emotionally, and I was on my way to an event and I was hosting it. And I said, after this, I'm done. And I got to the event and I served. And at the end of the event, I handed the microphone to the keynote speaker, and he said to me, Pam, get ready to fly. And he began to minister to me the plan of God for my life, that I'm going to be getting on and off planes and helping. He really described exactly what my life is right now.
Wow.
Yes. Now you got to imagine, this is years ago, and I was in a very dark place emotionally. And so he says to me, get ready to fly. And there's nothing like that. The image of that for me gave me the glimmer of hope that I needed, not to give up on God. And I never had a desire to build a career in ministry, but I did have a desire to minister because I felt like I was called to it. And I still do. But because of what was going on in my personal life, I just didn't feel like ministry was going to work for me. And so when I got that word, it just energized me. It gave me such hope, so much so that I created a frame in my office at the time, and I put those words, get ready to fly, in front of me. And they've sat there for years. That was over 10 years ago.
Wow.
For years. And so eventually I created a workshop called Get Ready to Fly for a group of people. And I used the Federal Aviation Administration's, we all know everything they tell us to do. We half listen, but we all know it. And so I use those steps to really create a roadmap for people on how to prepare your soul to soar, how to prepare your mind, your emotions.
Oh, that's cool. That's a great analogy.
Yeah, for elevation. So I love it. It's hilarious. It is hilarious.
So, one of the things we talked about quite a bit during the conference was, people need to know who their target audience is. Yeah. So who's your target audience for this?
My target audience are all of those people. I don't know if you've heard that phrase, grind, rise and grind, secure the bag. It's all of those things that people that are working hard to make their dreams come true. And there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. I'm one of those people that's doing it. I believe that it takes faith and work to make the dream of God come true in your life, or to bring it to manifestation, we have to fully cooperate with God's plan. However, as we plan, we also need to prepare. So my audience are those people that are working hard to plan. They're getting up early in the morning. They're staying up late. They're working their job and their dream. I know what that's like. Done that for years. You work your 9 to 5. I would work till Thursday, leave Friday morning, fly somewhere, train, come back Saturday night, be right back at work on Sunday morning. And so I understand what it means to work your dream and your job, to if you're an athlete or if you're a student or if you're a business person, you're working so hard for that elevation. So this book is a tool for them to go with your plan. Here's how you prepare yourself so that the success that you're working so hard to get doesn't kill you. The Bible talks about good success. My definition of good success is the kind that doesn't kill you.
Wow. So how do you feel like the saga, the journey that you've gone through, has been an analogy to what you're telling people about in your book?
Well, all of my books are very autobiographical. And so I talk a lot about not just my story, but the stories of others. And when I look at the sequence, everything from checking your baggage, the first section in the book is about checking your baggage, making sure that as you elevate, there's nothing explosive in you that could be dangerous when you reach certain levels of success or influence or leadership. And so for me personally, some of the disciplines that the Lord gave me years ago that didn't make sense, some of the disciplines in my words and my actions, and one of the things that God has drilled into me is his value for people. And he would say to me on most mornings going into work on Sunday mornings, he would say, Pam, everybody you meet today is my idea. And so I didn't know that the majority of my work would be dealing with people and teaching others how to deal with people. But it was something in me that he had to pack in my bag or take out of my bag. And it's different for all of us. But you need to know that there are things in you that have to be worked in or out of you before elevation so that you won't explode or implode. So looking out for lessons like that and cooperating with them because he knows where we're going more than we do.
Very cool. Very cool. Sounds like a very practical book.
It's extremely practical. One of my mentors says to me on a regular, he says, Pam, if it's not practical, it's not spiritual. If people can't look at it and walk it out in their life, I call that kind of teaching ready to wear. So you can take it right off the hanger, put it on, and wear it. So anytime I'm training anywhere, I want people to be able to tell me, based on what you heard today, they've spent a couple of hours with me or whatever, to say, what is something you're going to do differently? Are you going to think a little differently about something? So yeah, it's very practical on purpose.
That's really cool. I mean, I really respect that because I hate reading books where it's just fluff, and
yeah,
abstract or theoretical or whatever.
No. I want people, there's even in the book, I even put like a chart, several charts in the book where you can look and come down a list and see, are any of these things, do I have issues with any of these things? Do I have a problem with envy, which is going to lead me, if you're envious and then you get elevated, now you're in the VP office, you're actually going to stunt the growth of your company because you're not going to look for other superstars to elevate. And so what it does is it lists these things, and then it shows this is what it looks like in you on the ground. And it might seem perfectly harmless, but this is what it could look like in you as you elevate. So a lack of self-control when you're 2 years old looks a little different than a lack of self-control when you're 22. We know that. We're both parents, right?
Yeah.
A broken toy is a lot different than you did what with my car,
Really?
Well, the same thing happens as we grow in leadership and influence. The same things happen. And so even those types of practical charts that help you look at there's even a section that describes turbulence. What type of turbulence is your life in? And this is what you should be doing if you're experiencing this type of turbulence. So yeah, I
That's
liked it. I
cool.
love that it's practical.
That's cool. So now, do I understand correctly that you actually took a flight lesson?
Oh my God, I did.
That must have been
Now,
fun.
let me tell you, this is what happened. So usually by the time you're getting to the end of finishing one book, your mind starts thinking about the next. So my team knew I was going to write Get Ready to Fly. I had to write it, right? So we were celebrating the audio version of The Force of Joy. And we were celebrating it on my birthday. So I had asked them for one big piece of luggage for my birthday. And they said, the luggage is on the way, practical again. The luggage is on the way, but this is what we got you. And they all threw at me paper airplanes. I'm thinking, did they buy me an airplane? Like, I don't think they're ready to buy me an airplane yet. What they bought me was flight lessons. But what they didn't know is I was terrified. You know, they take you in these tiny little planes. They take you on these tiny planes. So, but I actually went and took this flight lesson. I learned so much about leadership and learned so much about even the process of promotion, elevation, success, even before you even get off the ground, checking your communication devices, checking the condition of your plane. And so and being able to connect that to what is the condition of your relationships? What's the condition of the structure of your life? Are you ready, really ready to go up, you know? So yeah, it was amazing. I went up over the city of Chicago.
Oh man.
Flew out over Lake Michigan.
Oh wow. That must have been so thrilling.
It was absolutely thrilling. As my heart was beating like a bird on my chest. I still can, you know how you're doing something and you're afraid and you're still doing it? And you think to yourself, am I really doing this? I mean, I'm here now. I'm going to do it. There's no turning back. So yeah, I'm in there flying away. And it was a marvelous feeling. But you know what's amazing, Brian? What was amazing is remembering within myself, you're not keeping this plane in the air. When you're in the air, you feel like, it's almost like you feel like you have to keep it in the air, but you don't. You just have to.
Well, you can't, right? I mean, literally in that case. I mean, so.
Isn't that amazing? Yeah.
That really is.
It was a thrill. I learned so much. And now I want to do it again.
Cool. Well, maybe for the next book, right?
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm ready to go do it again. Mm-hmm.
So we were talking about before we started the interview that you've got some companion resources that you've developed for this book. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
Absolutely. So you bought me some time because when I got that wisdom about, consider releasing some things in January, in the beginning of the year. So I told my team, we're not going to release it in November. Let's shoot for January. And I think people's hearts and minds will be more open for anything where the words "get ready" in the title. So that gave us time to create a journal, and it's called Wheels Up. It's just a simple journal that has no lined pages in it. It's got places to doodle. It's got some, what my team calls conversation quotes, PR conversation quotes is what they call it. So it's just things that I've said that they thought were impactful and memorable. So some of the pages contain that, and you can kind of write your thoughts on that. And it's designed for you to journal your journey. And we know journaling helps you process your emotions, keeps you emotionally healthy and ready for the next. And then I worked with some educators to create, and coaches to create, what we call a personal flight guide. And it walks you through the coaching questions that I would ask you. As you're reading the book, here I am in book form, coaching you through the actual application of what you're reading. So I'm really thrilled to offer all three at once, triplets, I'm calling them.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. I mean, you like the time
you.
to, I mean, I think that having supplementary, resources to go with a book just makes so much sense.
I love it. And I think it also gathers people around the conversation. I love book clubs. I have a huge heart. I used to host them a lot. And so I knew I wanted to create this flight guide with the book So as I was writing it, I was sending pages to an educator, and she was helping me develop questions. So I thought, what a great tool for book clubs to gather around and help each other kind of work through, unpacking some of that baggage, getting the seatbelt on together.
Well, I know you're a big believer in that, none of us can do all this stuff alone. So I understand you have a flight crew that works with you. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I have this crew. I don't even know how we came up with this idea of having a flight crew. So I have a team of interns that they are my flight crew, and they've helped me with marketing this thing. And I just really wanted to give them great kudos. They've been amazing. And I just decided to Google, how many people does it take to launch a rocket? Of course, it's hundreds of people. So many more people than we see in the movies, about just the maybe 20 or 30 people in command. So many people. So I invited friends. Hey, do you guys want to be a part of my flight crew? I'm launching this book. And they were like, sure, what do we do? So these people, and even people that I don't know, have offered to do it. We sent them a preview of the book, and they are recruiting other people to be in book clubs with them. And they're going to fly together. I'm a huge proponent. There's an old African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And so we've got groups of people, men and women, that are going to go through this book together, read it, and then get together and talk about it. And what I want from them is I want to know their success stories. So I'm going to have so much fun tracking them down, getting their success stories. How did the book affect your life? And I'm a people person, so I also get the fun of, I'm going to pop in on some of their book club meetings and just see how they're doing. So I'm really thrilled about this flight crew that's growing daily.
That's excellent. Excellent. I love the analogy too. So tell people about how they can get the book, how they can find out more about you and all your work.
Absolutely. You can find out about me at pamross.com. That's my website, and you can check out all the stuff I do and look at the podcast and other resources that are going on there. Join the online community. The book has its own landing page. It's getreadytoflybook.com. And you can watch a couple of videos about the book. You can read an excerpt about it. And I hope it excites you. I hope it causes people to think about how, not just your plan, but also your preparation. How do I ready myself to be successful at being successful?
Very cool. Well, Pam, it's really a thrill to see all the progress that you've made, and so glad that you were able to be part of Publishing in Color, and so glad that you've come out with this book. I mean, it sounds like it's outstanding, and I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Thank you. I agree. That's been my hope. That's my prayer. I'm really believing that people will. We've read way too many tragic stories of people's lives, not just, just people's lives that just didn't go as they planned because of their success, not in spite of it, but because of it. And that's just not how it should be. If you work hard for success, it should enrich your life, not take it over, and certainly not ruin it. So I'm really believing that lives are going to be saved, and we're going to find ourselves achieving great plans, but also being able to thrive in that success.
Well, Pam, please stay in touch and keep us posted with, how this goes, and, the other books that you come out with and the other things that you do from here.
Thank you. I sure will. Absolutely. I'm happy to be connected.
All right. Thanks again.